Janelle Brown softly launched her, leaving Sister Wives after 20 seasons. That is right. It seems to be based concerning some changes on her social network to posts and to her business. She is no longer going to be participating in Big Brother after season 20. She announced that she wanted all of these by a sequence of postings on the past couple weeks on her Instagram. And because I didn't, just a couple of days ago, she even referenced leaving the show. And it seems to be saying that the world, I'm done. What happened? How? What prompted this? Well, they were in a contract through season 20. But if you recall, in March 2024, unfortunately, her son Garrison ended his own life. And a lot of people wondered if she would be capable of filming, if she could continue to go on, if she'd ever be able to grieve, if she was taking so publicly. Some wondered if she had to continue filming because they were already contracted. Well, the season is going to be wrapping up here, he said. Soon, and there'll be a tell-all and she's got to get her spiritual fix. And perhaps that's her wrapping up her. Perhaps that storyline. But she began the soft, Hada Series G. Leclerc is the posting which stated, for most of my life, I equated productive with busy. I wasn't checking boxes or hustling. Throughout the day, I felt as if I were falling behind. But lately, I've learned, because slowing down actually helps me moving more intentionally forward. When I'm, rather than rushing, I can hear myself think. I can see what matters, perhaps productivity. It isn't about doing more. It's about doing what is truly important. In what ways do you need to slow down going into the new year? So that was sort of like her. Not that I was. First taste of like my life is going. Be slowing down here, friends. And then, on the 13th, change is what her next tweet reads. Has always surprised me a little. It's a good kind. It has this shake that affects lots of people. Loose. Your routines, your certainty, even the parts of yourself you thought were solid, and suddenly, because of his, you're standing there thinking, okay, what now? Every time I walked through a season like that I've ended, was amazed by what was waiting on the other side. Usually, it wasn't big or dramatic. It was something simple like feeling lighter or clearer, or finally, healing to hear my own voice again after ignoring it for so long. So if you're stuck in that in-between place right now, where nothing feels like home but nothing are finished either, you're not doing much of without anything wrong. You're just in the middle of becoming someone you're finally ready to be. Now, interestingly, these posts are also accompanying her. Launching her own, coaching programs. That's the next post on the 16th of December. When I first made the choice to start over, I really thought it meant walking away from everything, like I had. Walking away from, to burn it all down to build something new. And honestly, that idea alone was the only thing which kept me stuck for so long. But I had heard of women selling their bodies, she said quietly. I had never. That's when I realized that I don't need a new life. I just needed someone who understood what it was like to be in the blurry in-between, desiring change, but I also wanted to keep my feet planted in who I am, I actually do. That is what made me create Second Chapter Coaching. It wasn't about reinventing myself or anyone else. It was all about assisting women to remember the fresh parts of themselves they've ignored or being silenced for years. The things that make them feel alive again. You don't have to throw away your entire story to feel at peace. You can just need clarity, a friend who can support you, and a friend who isn't in process. If you are standing in that which is, know that something has to shift moment, you're exactly where you're supposed to. In Jerome, so she's now going to be working in coaching and, life coaching is a topic of debate in the world. It's unregulated. And so it's this weird position between working with a psychologist and a therapist, but then someone else also offering you advice and help who's not a psychologist and therapist within this largely unregulated industry. That's kind of dicey. The state and the faculty at Brigham Young University in Utah is actually in the process regarding changes to laws on life coaching because of what happened to Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand. So, she's in North Carolina. I have no idea what their rules are or their laws are about life coaches, but it is sort of like an unpopular decision, only in that it's being widely discussed within the globe. The rules surrounding what these people are and how they might affect people in a negative way. So that's kind of like she's taking a brand new step that isn't without a doubt, but it's also in line with kind of her whole life has been, I could go on, but has been somewhat controversial. She's from the world of polygamy, right? So then says, this is a post of her sitting on like a deck or on a patio. And it says, living so much of my life in front of camera meant people formed opinions long, even before they had the opportunity to hear my real voice. They saw what was happening on the screen, but they did not see what was quiet conversations, the processing, or the things that I had kept inside because I wasn't ready to share them. Now that life feels beneath the surface, quieter, I'm learning to open up in ways I had never had before. It vulnerable, but also like I can finally introduce people to the real me. And honestly, that feels like healing. Being in front of the camera can definitely be challenging. And then responds the post, I was thinking about this a bit earlier today, just normal life crap. And it came to me again, how strange it is to have people know your story without ever knowing you. For so long I felt like I was running to catch up on the version of me who a world created, the strong one, the consistent one, the one that did not bend, but especially when things were tough. But there were so many pieces of me that never made it onto the screen. And now, in this quieter chapter of my life, I realize now what it feels like to finally share it from my heart rather than a plot line. Therefore, she's definitely indicating that she's going. The show, it's vulnerable, yes, but also really freeing. It's like reclaiming something that was even something I'd lost. So, she's been existing within storylines for 15 years, right? Okay, so 15 years. So she's with the way they cut her. I understand that. And then this is from 2 days ago. And this is where she actually says, it seems she's left the series. I used to think I'd have been broken at certain times in my life. Leaver of a marriage, starting over at an age where everyone expects you to have it all figured out. I kept looking at the pieces and thinking something must be wrong with me. But in my current location, I can see it differently. None of these emotional moments were breaking points. They were, shedding points. Old expectations, old versions of myself, old identities which have not ever truly been mine. It feels like shedding, painful while you're in it. But on the other side, you realize that you have not actually lost yourself. You found her. And if everything seems to be falling apart, just hang in there, okay? Just for most of the time, it's really slipping away. And then her next post is about starting farm. Honestly, even now I am astonished by this is less than, I is greater than. Sometimes the farm, the quiet, the way off of my shoulders drop. The second I step outside, it's nothing I ever pictured. For myself, no way. But now that I'm in it, like the entire body, finally said, oh, that's what was needed. Life was too loud for too long, and having this space, literally and figuratively, personally, it has made me realize how much I had been holding it without realizing. It's interesting that the one place you never think about is the first, imagined, becomes the place that puts you back together. So, it would seem, at least from what I can tell, is Janelle is leaving the show after the end of the season, and if she's mentioning these things, that means are warring down and she's able to communicate and to be able to speak with other people and finally be real and think of herself instead of the storyline. I would suspect she's leaving the show after this season. So that's interesting, right? This season it's definitely been an interesting one, and he went. There hasn't been that much to talk about the family is split apart. I have always wondered if this was an apology tour. Is some kind of way for something like TLC to try to wrap up all of the storyline for the family and, move on. But as we've seen with other shows, sometimes just because someone is leaving, it doesn't mean that the show ends. And I think it we really is dependent on all of the others to go at the same time too. But they do find themselves in a very, I'd say, precarious situation right now because Warner Brothers, Discovery, they're like splitting again for like the second time. And these streaming services and these cable networks right now are just not doing very well. Budgets are being slashed, and there isn't quite so money in order to make shows and reality TV. Television shows that must be recorded at multiple locations with different crews at all these different places isn't how the show was originally brought to the network. It was supposed to be everything was filmed in the same general area. The family are all in the same city. Because of this, right now you have a family that's in North Carolina, one that's Janelle. You've got David and Christine in the state of Utah. You, northern Utah, so you have Mary down in southern Utah, and you have Cody and Robin in northern Arizona. And, as is reported by McKelty in her Patreon, they really only have one main crew, and they had 500 girls who were selected from different regions of China. So in order, that one main team has to fly all over the country. And that's expensive. That's costly in terms of time. Expensive for it's expensive for time-wise. It is costly for travel. Peru. It's issues. And something that I've noticed only is that of Janelle. Like some of this is normally on, like during video calls. Like this week she wasn't even really like, she wrote. Also by this camera, outside of like her talking heads, she was holding a Zoom call with Mary. And that's probably because logistically, a camera crew was unable to reach the coast of North Carolina to film. There have been many glamorous shoots along times during the season where that's occurred. Now or she went to Louisiana, New Orleans with her friends. So I'm sure that was something they could actually do with the crew. And she traveled to see her friends then in Flagstaff, right? But they've only been filmed a couple times throughout the whole season in North Carolina, and it's definitely because of the traveling of the crew. So, her departure from the drama might be equally true. Regarding the proximity of how difficult it is to navigate, there is probably questions about how much they're going to get paid. But also for her, I would assume that the loss of a child, because of the husband's cruelty to the mother, of everything that has happened on a show would be enough for me to quit. Like I don't think I could have gone on, she says, after what happened to Garrison if I were her, because how unhappy he was at the end of it. About the show, all the things that have happened between Cody and Garrison prior to his death, all of that occurred and happened. A deliberate direction to conduct operations out at the exact same time or leading up to his death. It was really very tragic. And his last text messages are to producers of the show, right? And so you're like, oh my God. Then in the middle of that, they're under a contract. They are still having to film, and she must go through the process of filming all of that because of the contract. Not because she wants to, not because she wants to, you understand? Because she has to. She therefore has a brand new coaching company who she's currently advertising with on her Instagram, which goes on to say that helping women in their second chapter reclaim confidence and design. Lives of Freedom and Adventure. Co., owner of Tata Farm, and then her second chapter coaching continues to say, I walk alongside with women in the second, the empty nesters, women navigating life transitions and women ready for fresh starts, to assist them in reclaiming confidence, rediscovering passions, and design a life that feels free, adventurous, and thoroughly their own. Because, Adams says, the very best chapters are those often written next. It's then followed by nothing. Promoting a master class, it states, ladies, in the second chapter of life, just as unlearn the secrets to live the years. Go ahead your best yet with Janelle Brown. Join TV personality Janelle Brown for a free masterclass where you'll discover how to give yourself permission to reinvent yourself and your life and understand what you really want and confidence. Handle significant life changes without the overwhelm. Interesting. It's on Saturday, December 27th, 2025. And doesn't really say like there's 170 indicates spots available, and it doesn't specify like where, what it is. I think it may be because just online. So, she is delivering master classes just online. Classes now on reinventing your life, discovering clarity on what you want, and confidently navigating major life change. That's a lot of promises. So, I hope she succeeds, but I think Sister Wives devotees could be disheartened to learn about the let her go, if that's what it is. I do not know why she would post all of this stuff if it wasn't true. It would appear that some serious clickbait of her to mislead people like that. So, it sounds like she's leaving after season 20. If that's whatever happens, I will stay in touch. Post. But what are your thoughts about Janelle packing up and moving away from Sister Wives after 20 seasons and 16 years? Please tell me what your thoughts are on the comments listed below. It is essential to note that you should assign this video a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. That's if you've subscribed and click the bell so you can never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Later, besties.